Oh, it's Friday. It's Friday. It's the end of the week and the last day. Big baby, it's on you. What you gonna do? I'ma get my pod on. Yeah, you only you know if you listen to B103 what I'm talking about. But what's happening, man? Y'all know who it is. And hey, it's the big baby. And I'm back. And I'm podding. And let me be honest with y'all. I didn't even plan on podding this week. Keep it 100 with you. Wasn't going to pod this week. I did 3 last week. I said, you know what? Let's let the content grow. Let's let the content marinate. But then I was like, ooh, I can. There's some stuff that happened out here, and I feel like I got to talk about it. And maybe you don't know, but I said I can't rest until I'm Rogan. So it just wouldn't be right for me to just sit on some stuff, sit on some inspiration, see some content out there and not go hop on it. Because again, baby, I can't rest until I'm Rogan. Until I'm getting paid 100 M's to do this, I cannot rest. At least $100, I take that too. But no, seriously. So I'm going to get to my opening monologue now, right? And it's about silo culture. We all know what a silo is, right? A silo is a thing that they store grain in, and everything that's like in the silo is protected from everything outside that could taint it, damage it, or expose it to air, right? Silos also are used to house nuclear missiles. I don't know if you all knew that. But here's what happens when things are removed from the silo, right? When the missiles are removed from the silo, oh, hell breaks loose. Now, granted, they haven't been removed from the silos, but if those nuclear missiles are removed from those silos and go up in the air, it's going to be a problem. Just like if a silo is penetrated, that grain that's inside that silo can go everywhere. So the silo is a safe place, but once you're no longer in your silo, there's going to be chaos around you. And that's what's happening in society today. We're living in silos. We're living amongst people who only believe what we believe, right? We only talk to people who have our beliefs. And then once we are confronted with a belief system, a belief that is different from us, we explode. And that explosion causes chaos. When you're sheltered in your echo chamber, you are more likely to respond with hostility because you've not been exposed to a stimulus other than the stimulus that stimulates you. Okay, are you following me here? Because here's what we're seeing. The world is becoming more and more polarized day in and day out. And these phones that we have, these social media apps that we use, they tailor what we see based on what we like, based on what we want to see or what they think we want to see. And because of that, we are not exposed to views that counter our views often. So when it happens to us, especially in person, a thing that many of us are getting worse and worse at, we don't know how to act. We explode. And it turns into chaos. Two things can be right. But the more we shut people away for having differences, the further away we get from right. And it's not about being right all the time. It's about getting to right, figuring out what right is. Because I want to talk to people who would challenge my views. I want to have heated discussions. I want to have heated debates. I want to have conversations that don't result in conflict, but they turn into constructive criticism and learning. Like, hey, Donald Eli, you've been in my comments. And I told you, hey, come to the inbox. We can have a conversation. Come to the platform. We can have a conversation. But for people who just want to cast their judgment, who want to live in their own echo chamber, hey, you live there. But guess what? There's a big, bad world outside of that. And you need to prepare yourself for that world. There is nothing wrong with like-minded people who support you and help you grow. But it's nothing like painful growth. somebody who tells you you're wrong. They tell you why you're wrong and how you're wrong. That makes you go back to the drawing board. But look, man, the world we live in is not trying to tear us apart. It's tearing us apart. And in order for us to get where we need to be, we have to understand collaboration and cooperation so that we can get cohabitation. And that takes me to Cass High. And I'm wearing blue and gold specifically for this podcast because Cass High holds a special place in my heart. And for those of you who, if you know, you know, I've been running around that. I ran around that school from 98 until 2010 when I graduated. But even after that, I still came back and had a presence there. And for the people who know the school, they know why I have such an affinity for the school, why the school means so much to me, because many of us go to school for high school for 4 years. And those 4 years are our relationship with the high school. But I grew up in that high school from kindergarten through the 5th grade. Almost every day after school, I was there. 6th through 8th, I wasn't there as much because I was in middle school playing sports after school. But if there was a sporting event, I was there. If there were things going on in the school, I knew about it. And then from August 2006 till May 2010, I was there almost every day. I got suspended a couple times. So those are the days that I missed. But other than that, I was there every day. So for my whole entire school experience, and then post coming back, speaking to different kids, speaking to different teachers, speaking to the administration, maintaining my presence as a proud and distinguished alumni of the school. Yes, I'm a proud and distinguished alumni of Cass High. It hurts my heart to see things happen at the school like we witnessed this past week. But understand the fact that I'm hurt by it doesn't mean that I'm shocked. Because I remember 2008. I remember people saying, hey, if Obama wins, I'm moving to Canada. I used to say, my aunt works at the post office. She does passports. Do you want me to text her and get you an appointment? And I remember when the day after the election, the way we were so happy, the way that we were just celebrating seeing a Black president in office, and how I had an Obama shirt on. I had a copy of, I want to say I had USA Today or the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I don't remember, because the Daily Tribune did not have a large picture of Barack Obama, but that speaks to the culture of Bartow County. And I remember just running through the hall. We got a Black president. We got a Black president. Going up to people. You mad, but the president is Black. Because that's just how excited I was for the historic moment that happened. Not to mention, I knew I was going to the inauguration already. So it's like, I get to watch this too. So the excitement that I had for the president and the pushback that I saw, not because of policy, not because of party, but because of color. I remember teachers not allowing people to speak about the election in their room. Yeah, that happened. I remember people saying, I voted for the first time in my life this year. That happened at Cass High School. 2008, 12 years ago. So to see the political rally that occurred there didn't shock me. But let's get into that political rally. So many people say this should not have been allowed. And on the surface, I disagree with you. The political rally should be allowed because Tinker v. Des Moines does not strip freedom of speech in schools. And the counter to that is, hey, this type of behavior can incite violence or riot. So think about Schenck v. United States. It strips the freedom of speech that incites action that would harm others, like yelling fire in a crowded theater where there's no fire. So the question becomes, did the actions of these students supporting the president and the other students supporting a presidential candidate, did that incite violence? On the surface, absolutely not. On the surface, students should be allowed to speak freely about their politics and what they feel and who they support. That's not a problem. And standing together with flags should not be a problem, because guess what? I used to see rebel flags all over the school, not sponsored by the school, but people with them on their clothes, on the back of their trucks. It was a thing. But we learned how to cohabitate amongst one another. And I asked myself with this, are we mad that they were protesting? Are we mad about the violence that happened? Or are we mad that they were representing something that we don't believe in? Now, my first thoughts on this is, why are y'all even at school? We're in the midst of a global pandemic. I hear that there are laptops available for students, so that means distance learning can happen. So why are y'all even at school? Then I see a group of people together. Why are y'all so close? I don't see many masks in the video. And it's just like, hey, y'all are at school, okay? Are we social distancing? Apparently not. And then I go to, why didn't a staff member just break this up? Now, I remember being in crowds of people. Don't get me wrong, I was an agitator. I was hell in high school. Don't get me wrong. And teachers, administrators. Now, this was years ago. I graduated 10 years ago, so it's a different group there, different leadership there. But coming up to us like, hey, I need to go to class, or hey, what are y'all doing over here? We're talking. You know what we're doing. But what we're doing is allowed right now. The warning bell hasn't rang, and guess what? If I'm late for class, just give me detention. No need to hold me here and make me go to class early for what? I'm just gonna sit there. No, let me hang out here. So, seeing what's there, seeing the climate that we're in, you think that somebody, an adult, would have the foresight to say, you know what, this could turn into something. We probably should break this up. And then I asked myself, why are y'all having a political rally at a high school before an election? Guess what? Most of y'all can't vote because you're not 18. You're not old enough. And it's not like elections happen at the end of the school year. It's August right now. School starts in August. Elections are in November. Not many high schoolers are 18 years old in November of the year that they're in. I was one of the few who turned 18 my senior year, but guess what? I was November 18th, so I'm still after the election. I couldn't have voted if there was an election in 2010. I couldn't vote in those midterms. But hey, I am okay with you speaking your politics and campaigning or supporting politicians that you believe in. But here's where I become an adult and ask the question. Why do you support a particular candidate? Have you done any research? How do their policies affect you or what you want to do? Because I'm pretty sure you're regurgitating what your parents tell you you need to listen to. I'm pretty sure you don't even realize what you're going to do with your life and how the effect of these policies will affect you over the next 4 to 5 years. I bet. Maybe I'm crazy. But you don't even know what you're fighting for. You're just supposed to think one way. Oh, we're voting for Trump. MAGA. This is MAGA country. Oh, they support MAGA. They're racist. Hey, ain't none of that MAGA around here. Biden, Harris. Yeah. But hold on. Do y'all? Do y'all even know what y'all fighting for? Do y'all know how these politics affect you? No, because you're probably regurgitating what your parents say. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Your parents probably don't know what the hell they're talking about either. people don't know shit about politics. We blame things on presidents that aren't even presidents' problems. We don't even care about what's going on locally. We only care about what happens nationally. But it's like, hey, guess what? Care about your mayor, your commissioner, your city council, your school board. Care about that. Care about the tax commissioner. Care about who's sitting on the bench at circuit court. Care about the district attorney. Care about your sheriff. Oh, no, we can't care about this stuff. We got to care about the national. Hell, care about your governor. Well, yeah, Kemp, yeah. See, that's the problem. That is the problem. See, we got kids standing up for rights that they don't know, but I'm not going to blame the kids. See, I'm going to blame the parents, because guess what kids are? Kids are a reflection of their influences. See, the kids are us without a filter. Because see, we grew up a little bit. We got jobs, we gotta pay bills, mortgage, rent, car note. You know what I mean? Some of us got to pay taxes, some of us get a refund, but we got responsibilities here. So we got to put on a filter, because a lot of that stuff that we wanted to say, that we want to say to somebody, we can't say because we got to get paid, right? Am I lying? DeMonte, am I lying? Chris Edwards, am I lying? But the kids are us without the filter. So I don't blame the kids, because their frontal lobe ain't developed. They ain't there yet. I blame y'all. I blame us, the adults, because guess what? We have created an environment that has become so divisive that our kids can't go to school together without talking about their politics. Now, mind you, we have politics because we're taxpayers. We know what's going on. This shit affects us, but to them, it's kids. And not to diminish that what a kid knows or what a kid can know, because a kid can be politically involved. A kid can be politically engaged. Hey, the reason why I was a political science major in undergrad was because I liked politics. I cared about politics. I followed politics. And guess what? My mom's politics and my politics are totally different. Same party identification? Sure. But total political beliefs? Different. Why? Because I developed my own beliefs early. Am I saying these kids didn't do that? No, I'm not going to say that, but we can assume many things. So we have to understand that these kids are an example of who we are. And when we get mad at the kids, we have to look right at ourselves. What do they say? You point a finger at one person, you got 3 pointing back at you. Look at yourself in the mirror. The kids is us. We birthed them. We raised them. I mean, they make their own decisions, but the decisions come from their path. And who made that path for them? Us. Now, then I saw the Snapchats. And I said, oh, this ain't no political rally. This right here is the race rally. And that's where my issue comes in. Am I upset that school officials didn't catch this early? No. I don't expect them to be monitoring the social media of their students. And if they were, I'd have another problem. But let's look here, right? Now, do I think this was an isolated incident? No. Do I think this started the morning of? Absolutely not. But when I hear the N-word being used, I hear the rebel flag being used, and you're trying to mask your support for the president, trying to mask your racism with support for the president, I'm not okay with that. And I think the students who were involved should be punished, but I don't think they should be expelled. Because you shouldn't rob kids the opportunity of education. I've grown in my beliefs so much over the last 10 years. Let's just say 10 years. I've been out of high school for 10 years. The way I look at so many different things and the way I look at them now are totally different. Why? Because of life, because of experiences, because of people that I've met. And I'm not going to get into the things that have changed because y'all might cancel me for the way I once felt, but I've grown. And these kids deserve the opportunity to grow. They do. No matter how ignorant we think they are, no matter how stupid we think they are, no matter how racist we think they are, they have an opportunity to grow and change, because guess what? People do change. I know some people who were once xenophobic, once homophobic, once name a race, didn't like them, intolerant of those people, misogynist, you know what I mean? Sexist, yeah. And life happened. And guess what? They changed. So these kids deserve the same opportunity to change. But hate is all around us. And we have to accept the consequences that come with facing hate. You have to accept the consequences that come with fighting racism. King went to jail and lost his life for fighting this stuff. Malcolm X went to jail for other stuff. Malcolm X lost his life for fighting this stuff. Colin Kaepernick lost his job for fighting this stuff. Do I need to say anymore? People get beat, murdered, fired, excommunicated for fighting against racism. So look here. I don't care how old or young you are. When you choose to fight against racism, when you choose to fight against the status quo, it comes with consequences. And some of those consequences aren't pretty. And by no means am I excusing the actions of anybody. But you have to understand, once you cross that line, once you step up off that porch, it's real out here. So once you want to confront the racist, it can get real. Now, pouring dip spit on somebody, that's some of the lowest shit you can do. For one, are you old enough to buy dip? 2, you can't have it on school premises. And 3, you're going to pour it on somebody. And if you're a man pouring dip spit on a woman, what type of man are you? What did your daddy teach you? What did your mama teach you? What if somebody poured some dip spit on your mama or your sister? I wish a motherfucker would pour some dip spit on Sharon. I'm on your motherfucking ass. But look, when we cross that line, when we decide we want to be a martyr for freedom, we got to be ready to die. And I don't mean physically die, but you have to be ready to accept the consequences of anything that happened to you, because you're fighting for something bigger than you. That's not dismissing, that's not excusing what the kid did allegedly, but you got to understand how dirty, how nasty it can get. People got spit on, attacked by dogs, hit with water hoses, beat up, killed. For the same fight we're still fighting today. To understand your history so that you can understand what's going to happen to you in the present day, because it's going to happen. The fight ain't getting no better. The same shit King was fighting for. The same stuff X was fighting for. The same stuff that Andrew Young was fighting for. The same stuff that John Lewis was fighting for. The same stuff that C.T. Vivian was fighting for. We are still fighting for today. And it's not an easy fight. It's the reason why they don't want us to vote. It's the reason why they suppress our votes. They don't want our voice to be heard. Ain't nothing new. So understand what comes with that. So when you make that choice, accept the responsibility that comes with it. Now, I've heard some of the older people say, this wouldn't have happened when I was in school. Yeah, probably not, because here's a couple of reasons why. We weren't as political as these kids are today. We didn't have as much social media. We were of the belief you don't talk about race, religion, or politics in public. Why? Because shit hits the fan. So we kept that stuff quiet. We operated differently. But I want you to ask yourself, how much racism have you dealt with in your life and you did nothing about it? Why? Maybe you saw a greater good. Some kids may see this stuff and say, hey, I'm not going to fight it this way. I'm not going to confront it face to face. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside. I'm going to get this education. I'm going to take this education. I'm going to go to college with it, right? And after I go to college, I'm going to go be a lawyer, or I'm going to go be a doctor, or I'm going to go do this profession. You name it, right? I'm going to use this education as a means to break stereotypes, to break down walls, to break down barriers for my own people. That's what I'm going to do. Some of us can go in here and freedom fight, and others of us can go just change the narrative. It takes both. It takes all sides. Okay. I was telling a friend earlier today, I had somebody tell me, you know what, AC? That's what they call me, AC. I don't really like niggers, but I like you. I sat there and I thought about it. Like, hey, man, we're not niggers. We're not black people. But I could have bit his head off and told him how wrong he was and told him and went off on him or stole off on him. But what have I done? I've eliminated the potential ally. And I'm not saying that you turn the other cheek every time. But what I'm saying is, let's have a conversation here. Let me tell you why you shouldn't use that word because it's disrespectful. Let me tell you why I'm not so different from these people that you think I am. You just got to know me personally. You've never taken a chance to get to know these people. You got to understand your crowd. Sometimes it deserves a feisty, angry response. And other times you just need to just sit with it, be patient, and then give your feedback. I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it. I'm just going to give you some things to consider. But to the community leaders in Bartow County, I haven't spoken to y'all or asked y'all what y'all's plans are for a reason. I'm waiting. But just know you're going to get some texts and phone calls this weekend. Best believe that. I may not be there, but y'all know I'm back here. I'm back here talking. I want to know what y'all doing because I care about my community. So here's my challenge to the community leaders. Be objective. Okay? And by be objective, understand that just because there was racist activity by white people, understand that black people could have provoked some of these actions. We have to understand that. I'm not saying that our provocation of these people just grants them the right to respond in the way that they did, but you need to be objective for an understanding because we're not perfect. We can be victims and still not be perfect, okay? Plan before you react. Get your group together. Get your brain trust together and come up with a plan before you react. Because guess what? A protest without a plan is pointless. Listen, the media has the story. Fox 5 News, both digital, TV, people that sent me links that don't know nothing about Cartersville. So it's not going to get brushed under the table. Understand that. Understand that you have the media supporting you right now. But we can't be emotional here. Now is the time to take a stand, and we cannot squander it. You have to take full advantage of what's in front of you right now. But if you mess it up, if you do it wrong, you're going to lose some credibility. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to maintain credibility. Now, within the span of 6 months, this is the third race-based issue that's come to the forefront. Maybe now's the time to call for an investigation of the entire Bartow County school system. You have the teacher at Adairsville Elementary, who I've heard is still employed. She's no longer working with students, but she's still employed. You have the board member who was allowed to vote on whether or not he stayed on the school board. What? How does he have a say in whether or not he gets to stay or leave? And then you have this. It's not an isolated incident. It speaks to a culture that is allowed, but that culture is the dominant culture of the area. You have to understand what Bartow County is. It is rural Georgia. Although it is only 45 minutes away from Atlanta, it is culturally different from Atlanta. Atlanta is the real chocolate city, the new chocolate city. Sorry, DC, no mumbo, no go-go, no phone pauses, right? We got lemon pepper down here in Magic City, but guess what? Atlanta is the new chocolate city, but that's not Cartersville. Cartersville is small town USA. Cartersville is MAGA country. So you have to understand your audience. But gather information and look at the systematic issue. because it's bigger than just the little incidents here and there. It's a systematic issue. Ask for help. It's okay not to know the answers, but it's not okay not to utilize resources that can help you. Unite. There's power in numbers here. We can have one angry group over here. We can have another angry parent over here. We can have another angry parent, student over here, all this stuff, right? But we have to unite and come with a unified front because there's so much power in numbers. And once your information is gathered, create a list of demands and be prepared to execute. You can't say we want you to fix this problem and not tell them what the problem is and what you want fixed. So leaders, I'm asking you all to figure it out. And understand, I'm going to be in your inbox trying to help you figure it out because I care. And then lastly, don't ask the school to do things for you and your people that you aren't willing to do for yourself. So get involved. Care. But be ready to do some more work on the back end. You can't be convenient here. Now's not the time for convenience. Because the school is a place where our kids should be safe, where they should go there to learn, to build a better future for themselves. And if that's not happening, it is on us as a community. It is on us as parents. It is on us as alumni, students, whoever we are to make this place best for learning for all people. This is not just a one-sided argument, but I'm going to talk to the Black community leaders because I do not want this opportunity to create change to fall by the wayside. But look, man, I can only offer so much. We can only do so much, but we have to find a place to where we can make life better for our kids because I believe that children are the future. Yeah, that like insane. Sexual chocolate. All right, now I'm going to transition into what's going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm going to start this by saying not one person is judge, jury, or executioner. And no one should be allowed to be that one person. This is America. We have due process, and every citizen, despite their background, despite their beliefs, deserves a due process. And seeing what happened to Jacob Blake, it hurts me. And I'm not going to get into the details because I've read that there was a fight he was trying to break up. I also read that he was at an ex's house that he was not supposed to be at, and that's the reason why the police were called. I don't care if he was breaking the law. I really don't. His breaking of the law does not deserve death. So for the people who are trying to say, well, he was this and that, I don't care. He didn't deserve to die. He deserved his due process. And I just don't understand the de-escalation of force tactics that we're seeing today. It's like, stop, taser. Oh shit, taser don't work. Bow, take your billy club and go over his head and knock him out. Maybe you issue a warrant for his arrest and y'all go get him later. Have you thought about that? But now you're going to shoot him 7 times, and then you shot 7 times in his back, and you didn't kill him. Y'all can't even shoot. And maybe that's a little bit dark, but it's like, hell, what you shooting for? You shooting to kill or you shooting to injure? Either way, 7 shots, you could hit him in the right spot. And that speaks to the issues we have with police. They're obviously bad at their job, but even the stuff that they want to be good at, they bad at that too. Damn, y'all bad at shooting? Y'all can't even shoot straight. It took 3 of y'all. 3 of y'all. 3 of y'all couldn't jump him and beat him up, put him in cuffs, and take him into custody? Y'all the police, y'all ain't got to shoot a fair one. It ain't got to be one-on-one. No. But you got to stop killing people. And in the climate that we're in, where this has been elevated and talked about day in and day out, and y'all still are killing people, that just lets me know y'all don't care. The policing system as a whole, not individuals, does not care. Many of the people who want to be policed do not care. And that's why we have people like Kyle Rittenhouse. He's a Blue Lives Matter guy. And nothing against people saying that Blue Lives Matter, because the lives of police do matter. Because I'm not judge, jury, or executioner. I'm definitely not executioner. I ain't here to say who should live and who should die. But when you sit here and tell me that you want to go protect some blue lives, or you going to show up to, what we call it, a protest, a riot, whatever, a protest, open carry in the AR-15, it's legal if you're 18, not legal if you're 17. Honestly, maybe I'm crazy, but if I see a protest going on where things may be a little wild and somebody's walking out there with an AR-15, even if it's legal, I'm gonna stop and say, hey, what's going on here? Come on, this is my ID. Because guess what? If I, Adam Lee, 28 years old, walk open carrying, best believe, sir, come here. Let's check you out. Are you licensed to carry this? Is this yours? They're going to stop me, but they ain't going to stop him. And then he gets to get away with killing people, gets to go home, sleep in his bed that night and turn himself in, and then be defended by the police chief of Kenosha. That's what's crazy. Damn all the people on social media defending him. Well, he killed a woman beater, a child molester, and he shot a felon who was possessing a gun. If you can't see that, if you can't see the problem here, you don't deserve eyes. I should just gouge him out right now. You don't deserve license. You can't drive because you can't see. You can't see. If you think it's okay for him to kill them, because look, nobody's judge, jury, and executioner. I don't care what the crime is. Once you pay your debt to society, if we believe in the system, right? Once you pay your debt to society, you've done your job. Now it's on you to come back to society a better person. And protesting against injustice is not, to me, it sounds like you're being a better person. It's not wrong to me. But what do I know? I'm just a big baby. But hear me out now. Here's what we can do, though. Because we get so upset by what's going on out here in these streets, and we have these emotional, passionate responses. But I don't know how many of those make change happen, right? So let's think about ways that we can make change happen. Abolish the police. No. Chance the Rapper. No, we're not abolishing police. We need police. Because when you allow community policing to happen, you have Kyle Rittenhouse. That's community policing. That's vigilante policing. Defund the police. We got to stop saying defund the police. We got to let people know what it actually means. Reallocate funds. Maybe. Because the problem is there's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy that does not allow us to necessarily move money away from the police. It doesn't allow us to, sometimes it does not allow civilians to help fill roles that police currently fill. And that goes to my next point. We got to take a look at these unions. Because what we don't understand is, and what some of us don't know is, the police unions hold more power than our elected officials. And if we cannot disband these police unions, then a lot of the criminal justice change we want can never happen because the unions hold the power. And we got to eradicate police Bill of Rights. Police have a Bill of Rights that grant them so much power that we can't treat them the way that we want to because of the Bill of Rights. Now look at this. Most of us don't know police have Bill of Rights. I found out today while listening to Bill Simmons' podcast, and I was like, I got to bring this to you all because I care about you. Georgia ratified a police Bill of Rights post George Floyd. So you know how we rocking. So some of the things that apply in the police Bill of Rights in Georgia, let me just read this off to you. The interrogation occurs while the officer is on duty unless exigent circumstances apply due to the nature of the alleged crime. The interrogation must occur at the command center / headquarters. The officer must be given the rank and name of the interrogating officer. The peace officer under investigation shall be informed of the nature of the investigation before any interrogation begins. A peace officer cannot be threatened with his or her job for refusing to answer and cannot be promised a reward for answering. If an officer wants legal counsel present, they must be present for the duration of the interrogation. No issue there. So just think about these things, right? We're giving police officers, or peace officers, as they call them in Georgia, more rights than we give our regular citizens. What makes them different? They took an oath. They did some training. But who gives a damn if you do something wrong and you take somebody's life? But that gets into ending qualified immunity because they're given qualified immunity. And let me tell you what qualified immunity is. It's a doctrine that grants government officials performing discretionary functions immunity from civil suits unless the plaintiff shows that the official violated clearly established statutory or constitutional rights which a reasonable person would have known. Well, what should a reasonable person have known? That is so unclear that you can't revoke him when it allows you to, because what's reasonable? Clearly established. So it has to be plain as day. So when I look at criminal justice, it is a national problem that requires local attention. So instead of focusing all your time on Trump and Biden, look at Clark. Look at the police chief in Cartersville. Look up the union that they may or may not have. And start there, because Kenosha has a union that's protecting police. The reason why we can't see the justice that we want for Breonna Taylor is because of the union that protects the police. So we have to attack the problem head on and where it's at. And we have to attack these police unions. I'm not saying that they should not exist, because I'm all for unions protecting workers, but I'm also not for unions protecting bad workers. One of the things that came from this New Georgia Bill of Rights is if you are investigated, but you are not found in trouble for what you do, right? That investigation is not public record. So people can't know. So we're protecting bad cops, because I think if you are investigated for something and if there's no action taken, whether you're right or wrong, you don't deserve to lose your job for it. But people should be able to know that you have been investigated, because maybe you beat that investigation, but it doesn't mean that you were right. And if you have a trend of bad behavior, I think the public should know that. Your future employers should know that. But more importantly, the public should know that, because you should not be allowed to police me if you can't police your damn self. If you can't police your damn peers, why should you police me? You over there harboring fugitives. You over there harboring criminals. But then you're going to tell me how to clean my house. Don't tell me my house is dirty when you got rats and roaches crawling out from all over your house, you filthy hoarder. And that's what's happening with police. But hey, look. It sounds like the NBA said, I'm tired of these cracker crumbs. I'm hungry. It's time to eat. And they went on strike. It's not a protest. It was a strike. You have to call it what it was. It was a strike. Brief strike, maybe, but it was a strike nonetheless. And I called it a moment of silence. So for all of you who want to say the NBA did it wrong, shut up. There's not a right answer. Smart people disagree on how to attack these problems. But the fact that they did not play for a couple of days created a national conversation, because many people, especially on the sports side of the house, forgot about all the social justice that the athletes are still trying to fight for. They're just caring about sports. They're caring about the basketball. They're caring about Luka with his 43-point triple-double. They're caring about playoff LeBron being back. They cared about their bets, me included. But if you think the NBA was wrong, you're wrong, because they created a conversation. Why do we have moments of silence? It's to create a pause to make you think about some stuff that you probably weren't thinking about that you need to think about. And that's what the NBA did at the least. And for those of us who are upset with the way that they went about it, I'm okay with that. Because I think that the way the Bucks handled it was great. It was a great means of protest, but it hurt the ability to rally the power. It hurt the other members involved. And then afterwards, when the Lakers said, hey, we'll go home, the Clippers said, hey, we'll go home. Whoa. We didn't say go home now. We just want their attention. And we didn't have a list of demands. And people, and I was like, hey, don't rush to judgment. Let's wait until we get some demands. Let's see what they're going to do. Because guess what? NBA players have access to owners. And I'm just thinking about Steve Ballmer. I'm thinking about Mark Cuban, two rich guys who can get anybody they want on the phone. Or let's not forget about Orlando. Orlando's ownership group led to Betsy DeVos. So you want to talk about some education reform? Secretary of Education is right there. You think about what Robert Kraft did for Meek Mill, got him out of jail. Our black leaders couldn't get him out of jail. Bob Kraft got him out of jail. Guess who Bob Kraft get on the phone right now? Treasy, MAGA, 45, Donald Trump. He can do that. So the players using the little bit of leverage that they have to try to push their owners to work that much further is something. I'm not saying it's everything, but it's something. Okay, taking that stand, taking that strike, because it was not a demonstration. It was a strike. They risked their employment. The owners could have ripped up the collective bargaining agreement because of that. And I think that's something for us to think about. Because some people say, oh, well, hey, this is convenient for them. They got fully guaranteed contracts. Yeah, they do. But if that CBA gets ripped up, that changes things. And that closes a door of generational wealth for other black people. And we've seen what some of our biggest and brightest stars have done with their generational wealth. And there's much more that's been done by people who we don't know, how people who aren't household names, they use that generational wealth to help out. But at the same time, this issue is bigger than sports. It's a societal issue. Ooh, boy, my lisp will not let me say that. You can't have a lisp and a stutter and say societal. But it's a societal issue. So to put the onus on the athletes to be the ones who make the decisions for us is absolutely wrong. I appreciate them. I'm happy they're doing what they're doing. It is their responsibility to speak up when they can, use their leverage when they can. But it is not their job to create equality for everybody. It is our job as a collective community to demand what we deserve. And back to the KSI stuff. If you are going to ask your leaders to do something for you that you won't do for yourself, you're asking for too much because you got to look in the mirror. Now, again, I support these players. Why? Because their pause, that moment of silence, stopped some MLB games, stopped some MLS games, stopped some tennis players from going out there and playing. And guess what? Football. Some of them stopped practice. Some of them are talking about not playing. NFL, what you gonna do? We know how y'all think in NFL. Y'all aren't as collaborative as the NBA is, but we're gonna need something. So the players using their leverage and manipulating the platform the way that they did, it does matter. I'm not saying it's the whole meal, but Jesus Christ, it might be appetizer. It sure ain't cracker crumbs. It's more than cracker crumbs because they let them know that, hey, look, I don't care how much money is rolling through Vegas. I don't care about the CBA right now. We're not going to play. And yeah, it's uncomfortable what the Bucks did because they put everybody in a position to have to respond to them without coming together because they are a players' union to come out on a unified front, right? Because they collectively bargain with the owners to hold their feet to the fire, right? They made that difficult, but guess what? Domino effect. And yeah, they're playing tomorrow, Saturday. They're going to play. They're going to play. But here's what they got out of the deal. Now, you don't have to be satisfied with it. but it's more than what they started with. It's a step in the right direction. And hopefully they hold the owners' feet to the fire, because if those owners / governors don't deliver, more action. Well, let's see, because LeBron was ready to walk out and go home. He's ready to hop on the PJ and catch Savannah for her birthday. And if anybody was ready to walk out, the fact that the Clippers and the Lakers walked out and said, fuck it, we ain't playing, the two teams who are the favorites to win the championship, that should let you know how real it is. But here's what they got so far. Establish a social justice coalition featuring reps from players, coaches, and governors. Convert team arenas into voting locations for the 2020 general election. Create advertising spots in playoff games that promote civic engagement in local and national elections. So guess what? We got something. I'm going to call them appetizers. I'm going to call them cracker crumbs. They ain't cracker crumbs. They're appetizers. They're not the meal yet. But it's steps. And I'm not saying that we should applaud just steps, because I think there's more that needs to be done. There's more that can be done. But what they're doing is something, and it's great. So for those of you who have an issue with what they're doing, shut up. Or actually, hold on, what's my thing? Put the bottle down. So now I'm going to transition from this and talk a little bit about Playoff P. Playoff P, man, he's been playing terribly, and he came out recently and spoke about how he hasn't been there, how he's been dealing with anxiety and dealing with depression. And many people say that this is a cop-out. And I'm not going to call it a cop-out. I'm going to tell you that, hey, Playoff P, you're expected to do a job, and you're expected to do it at a certain level. So despite what's going on, here's what we expect from you. And this is what we're going to expect no matter what's going on. And I stand firm on that. But here's what I will say. It's a reason. Just think about this. This man has 2 kids. He has a lady at home. He doesn't get to see them every night. Imagine being pulled from your comfort zone and being told to perform at a high level. Guess what? If he's dealing with anxiety and depression, he probably has a therapist. Guess who he can't go talk to face-to-face? His therapist. Guess what he doesn't get to do? He doesn't get to go through his daily routine, his weekly routine, to rejuvenate himself after a bad game. There's nothing wrong with having a bad game, but because he cannot go get healed, maybe they compile on one another. And then you have social media. Then you have the him and Dane beef. You have all this stuff happening. And mental health is, yeah, it's in your head, but it's also in your body. And once it hits your body, you can't always control that stuff. So do I still hold Paul George to the standard of you need to put up numbers? Absolutely. But do I understand that he's going through something, and it's not the place for any of us to judge him? Well, he's making this much money. Yes, he's making a lot of money, but guess what? You normalize the life that you live, and once that life becomes different, and then you're dealing with other stressors, you may not be on your A game every day because you can't recharge. You don't have your support system. And for people who want to ignore that and disagree with that, you're wrong. We are not the mental health police. We don't know what's going on with people's heads, and it's not our place to judge what's going on in their head. People commit suicide every day from all different walks of life, and a lot of that is because they cannot control their mental health. They can't get a hold of their mental health. They feel like they shouldn't be here anymore. They feel like their time here on earth is killing them. So they just rather be dead than to slowly die. And although I am not a proponent for suicide, I am also not a proponent for telling somebody what is going on in their head and how they should handle their mental health. Leave that to them and the mental health professionals. And lastly, before I close out, we got 6 minutes left. The process is over. I don't care that Ben Simmons didn't play with y'all. The process is over. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid don't work together. Brett Brown, you deserve to be fired 2 years ago because you were brought in to develop talent. The talent was developed, and you were not able to properly coach them. I told y'all Jimmy Butler was right. He left for a reason because the culture wasn't right. Josh Richardson, who came from Miami, said, oh, yeah, there's no accountability here. Just think about this, man. You drafted Jahlil Okafor over KP. Is Jahlil Okafor on your team anymore? No, he's not. You drafted Markelle Fultz over Ben Simmons. Excuse me. Drafted Markelle Fultz over Jason Tatum. You moved up to the 1 pick to take a guy who was going to be there at 3. So you also gave away a future draft pick for a guy who's going to be there, who's no longer on your team, and who we thought was going to be a superstar is now a role player, and the guy who you could have gotten once you moved up to number 1, who would have complimented you because y'all need a scoring wing that can shoot the ball. You let him go. You could have had Jason Tatum. He could have been number 1 pick. He could have been your guy. And guess what? Now you have a 3-headed monster in the league where there's nothing but big twos. But y'all did it wrong. Y'all created a losing culture, and that's why y'all are losers. I understand tanking for a year. I understand trying to get the best draft pick when you realize that what you have going on isn't working. But guess what? You created a losing culture, and now y'all are losers. So now Elton Brand is stuck with the task of trying to turn around a franchise that was so bent on losing, that has players who were there to lose, that make them winners. And I do not envy him, not one bit. And as a black GM, one of the few black GMs, a former player, I hate it for him, because if this doesn't work, they're going to say, oh, players can't be GMs. Black players can't be GMs. And he doesn't deserve that, because he was dealt a terrible hand. Don't get me wrong. He did make the Tobias trade. He did make the Jimmy Butler trade. He did let Jimmy walk out. He did sign Al Horford, and he did sign Tobias to that big deal. Don't get me wrong. I think he's made some mistakes, but the mistakes that he made was trying to make something work quickly in a place that needed an immediate victory. He tried to make the best of what he had, but the process is over. The process didn't work. You all did not do what you should have done. And guess what? Tanking doesn't work, because it creates a culture of losers. And we don't want to be a culture of losers. So to tie this back to everything that I talked about, hey, get out of your silo. Go live life. Go talk to people who differ from you. Live with them. Get pissed off. Emote. Debate. Talk. But walk away from it a better person. Be always open to learning, because reading is fundamental. Learning is fundamental. We talked about it last week. You're never grown, but you're always growing. You don't ever want to be grown, because grown means the process is over. You want to always be growing, and that's what we have to do. Constantly grow, and grow. But hey, look, we got some more stuff coming to you. A lot. I got some new guests coming. It's going to be beautiful. And look here, Cartersville, I told y'all, I want to be your breakfast club. I want to be the place that you want to come talk. If you don't have a voice, you feel like you're not being heard, come to Big Baby, because Big Baby is going to give you a voice. Because guess what? I'm not resting until I'm Rogan. I'm going to be here a long time. I don't get tired of all of that. Big Baby, yeah!